Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and we're back with another real estate video. Today, I'm talking about something I've been working on for a really long time, and it finally happened, and that was the refinance of 9 properties, which actually saved me about $8,000 a month, and maybe more than that. We'll go through some of the numbers and show you why, but I've been working on this for months and months and months. We finally got it done, and luckily my rates were locked in too, so I had low rates before they shot up recently with the inflation figures and everything and the Fed raising rates. So I can talk about all that. So I'm really happy to have that done. I'll show you some of the properties, what the loans were, and what they went down to or up to, because we did both, how much money I ended up getting back out of the refinance, and some other things that might surprise you about this refinance that I didn't really want to do, but I had to do to get it done. So, and there's some negotiating back and forth with the bank too on figuring out what to refinance, what not to refinance. So there's some lessons here. You don't always have to do exactly what the bank tells you to do or wants you to do. Like, you can offer suggestions or help them figure out the best scenarios as well, which is kind of what we did here on a mix of residential and commercial properties, and yes, even some vehicles mixed in there as well. All right, now of course we love the likes, comments, shares, keep all those coming. Love seeing new subscribers, and I have a ton of information on investformore.com, my free blog with hundreds of articles, a free book on there, lots and lots of information. All right, so let's dive in and see exactly why I did this refinance and to look at some of the loans I had on these properties before doing the refinance. All right, here you can see a list of the properties that I planned to refinance. Had 8 of them, although I'll show you why that shows 8 when I keep saying I refinanced 9 properties. And then we also paid off some properties on top of this and some other stuff, which I'll talk about here as well. So the first one's a brewery, number 33. That's the rental property number 33. So if you want to see a video of this property, search for Investor More and rental property number 33. It'll pop up. You can see it. I also have a list of all my rentals on my blog, investformore.com. And not here. There we go. So you can see them all listed here. I'm at investformore.com, and then if you click on the tab here, it says My Properties, Rentals. You can click on that, and it'll take you to all my rental properties, and they're listed right here with numbers and links to videos if I have them. Some of the old ones I don't have videos of, but most of them I do. And you can also see my flips on here too if you want to go to my flips and see videos of those as well. All right, back to this. All right, so that was a brewery. I paid $170,000 for it, used a private money loan. A smoothie shop, which was rental number 25, bought that for $130,000, and we fixed it up, rented it to a smoothie shop that had a $30,000 private loan. By the way, this is bought from the MLS. This was bought from the MLS. The compound was for sale. I don't know if it's on the MLS, but it was on LoopNet, one of those. The compound, as many of you know, is 3 houses and a commercial property, all bought together for $410,000, but they were on 3 separate parcels. So I actually refinanced 2 of these properties, and I just had one loan against them for $240,000, and that loan amount was lower than what I paid because I used a 1031 exchange to buy these. So I sold another rental, which I think was number 8 or 12, took the proceeds from that and put it into this property, and that's why I had the lower loan amount. But then you can go back and refinance those properties and kind of get that money back out. So that's one way to get your money from a 1031 exchange. Rental number 2 I bought for $92,000. That was in 2011. I had a $178,000 bank loan against that. Obviously, it's way more than I bought it for because I refinanced this property a few years ago. I might have refinanced it twice. I'm not sure. But this is a second or third time. Rental number 4 I bought for $109,000 in 2012, I think. Again, I refinanced it, so my loan was $126,000 on it. Rental number 9 I bought for $133,000, had $153,000 bank loan against it. And these are rough. I'm not sure if they're exactly 4.5%, but I didn't go back and look them up, but it's about what the rates were. Rental number 14 I bought for $134,000. That one I bought in, I think, 2015, if I remember correctly. Had a $111,000 bank loan against it. I don't think I ever refinanced this one. Kind of crazy. And then the fourplex, number 23, was a mixed-use fourplex, and I bought that one for $192,500. I still have a private loan against that one, even though I bought it like 3 years ago. But it's still cash flowed, even with that big loan against it. And one reason why I have never refinanced this one until now is because it is mixed use. Makes it way harder to refinance. So we might talk about that too. We'll go into some more detail on all of these and what will happen. But now, let's kind of take a peek of what the plan is, or was, and why it took so long. All right, so while I talk about this refinance, I'm going to show you the beautiful compound in the background. If you saw my short the other day, the city is giving me grief on this still. This is what the compound looked like when we bought it. Cleaned up everything. It's so much better now. And they've just been complete jerks about everything. So anyway, so with the refinance, I had all this planned back in October of 2021, all finalized, ready to go. Kept running into problems, issues over and over again. And what a refinance is basically you take a property that you own and you get a new loan on it. So usually refinance means you finance it again. But even if you have a property that's completely paid off and you already own it and you get a new loan, they still usually call it a refinance. Even though you're not replacing a loan, they still call it that. So a refinance is getting a new loan on a property you already own. Now, when they call it a cash out refinance, that means you're pulling money out. So let's say your old loan was $150,000, you get a new loan of $200,000. Well, your new loan is more than the old one. You pay some closing costs. Maybe you get $40,000, $45,000 cash back. So you can actually keep the property, get a new loan that's bigger, and have cash back coming to you. So I did that on some of these properties, and on others, I didn't. So we'll talk about that, show you what happened there. And I'm going to scroll. We got to this property. There you go. Remember, that's the place I evicted. Did cash for keys for some other ones. It was crazy. All right. So the issue with doing a refinance is banks want you to have a certain amount of debt to income. So your debt to income ratio means your monthly debt payments. So whatever my rent, my mortgage payments, my car payments, whatever my fixed payments are each month, compared to my income I make every month, however much I make. And that's a debt to income ratio. And if that is too high, banks don't want to loan you money. And it can get tricky as a real estate investor because, as I just showed you, I have lots of private money loans that have high interest rates, pretty high payments. And then I had some car loans that had pretty low interest rates, but their car loan's a shorter loan, so it has higher payments. So when you're looking at debt to income ratio, 30-year loans are so much better than 15-year loans because a 15-year loan has a much shorter time to pay off the property. Your payment's higher, makes your debt to income ratio worse. So if you can get 30-year loans and you want to buy a lot of properties, that's much better than 15-year loans as far as your debt to income ratio is concerned. So I'd been trying to do some refinances for a while, but the banks were telling me my debt to income ratios were too high. I had too much private money going out. We've had some vacant properties and didn't bring rent in, so they're just complete expenses with no income. And so that made it tricky. So eventually we got to a point where we figured out a plan on how to get this refinance done with my debt to income ratio being okay. And let's show you that plan now. All right, so the proposed refinance went a little differently than this, but then I added in some commercial properties, wanted to possibly pay down some other properties. I didn't want to, the bank wanted me to. And so we had to rearrange things. So for my properties I wanted to refinance, here's what it looked like. The brewery had a $170,000 loan. The new loan would be $150,000 because it's commercial, because there'd be no appraisal. So I'd actually pay $20,000 to get the new loan. But I would pay way less interest on that. The smoothie shop would go from $130,000 to $150,000. Oh, missed a zero. There we go. I would get $20,000, and this is minus closing costs. So these aren't exact, because I have to take closing costs off all of these. The compound would have two new loans totaling $300,000, paying off the $240,000, so I'd get $60,000. Rental number 2, the loan would go from $178 to $288. I'd get $110 minus closing costs, which would need to come out at the end. Rental number 4 would go from $126,000 loan to a $288,000 loan. I'd get $162,000. Number 9 would go from $153 to $277. I'd get $124. Rental 14 would go from $111 to $270. I'd get $159. And the fourplex mixed use would go from $192,500 to $150,000. So I'd actually have to pay out more than $40,000. So overall, I would get back $572,000 cash back, and my payments would go from $10,782. Oops. Look at that. I messed up again. To $10,000. Wait, where is it? There it is. $187. There. So I would get $572,000 cash back, and my payments would decrease because the rates are going from 10% to like 3.75 and just over 4% on the commercial properties. Plus, not just the payments would go down, but on all these private money loans, they're interest only, right? I'm just paying the interest. The balance is not going down. With the new loans, they're amortized over 30 or 25 years. Part of this payment is also now going to pay down the loan, which isn't a huge deal to me, but I'd much rather pay down the loan than not pay it down. So it's another financial advantage. Actually, I'd much rather not pay it down. Anyway, if I'm going to pay the same amount, I'd rather have some of that money going towards paying down the loan. And you can see, pretty cool. However, this was not acceptable to the bank because my debt to income ratio was still too high. So what happened was I didn't get all this money back. We had to use this money to do some other things. Okay, so what the bank wanted me to do is to pay off two properties. The first bar I bought, the one we gutted and had all the cool exposed brick on, had $132,500 loan against it, $1,104 payment. The big warehouse. Oh, did I not do that right? There we go. I had a 26,000 square foot warehouse I bought kind of 90 miles away from me. Cool building, really far away from me. We've had it rented off and on kind of to various people. It has a $1,725 payment. And then the Aston Martin, the Lamborghini, and my wife's Escalade all together had a $185,000 loan with a $3,093 payment. So the bank wanted me to pay all of these off so that I would eliminate another $5,900 in payments, but it would take $547,000. And as we saw over here, $572 was what I was getting cash back. So by doing that, I would have just like a little over $30-some thousand cash back. But that's not what happened. So what actually happened? All right. So here we are in the big giant warehouse. It was such a cool building. I loved it. But it was really far away from me. And so I made a decision, instead of paying off this property, I ended up selling it. So I sold it actually on Facebook. I put it on Marketplace, and someone who had looked at it before for possibly renting it saw it again. I ended up selling it for $380,000. I bought it for $230,000. I don't think we ever spent hardly anything on this. We might have patched some of the leaky roof a little bit. I think we got internet because we were gonna do security cameras. I don't think we ever got the security cameras out there, but we paid for internet for a while. But it wasn't just the payment on this property that cost us, $1,700 a month. The water bill was pretty expensive. Even though we didn't use water, because it was so big and had such a big water tap, the city charged us a lot as just a base water fee. The taxes were pretty expensive. The insurance was pretty expensive. Utilities were pretty expensive. So it ended up losing me money every month pretty much, even though we had it rented for a couple $1,000s a month. Just on one side, and then probably another $1,000 a month on the other side. Overall, monthly payments were not in the positive, but we made a pretty good sale of it, and that's kind of why I bought it. I knew it was a good deal. So I do not have this property anymore. It's kind of sad, but I never went there. I never had time to go out there. I didn't have time to implement a really good plan for it either. So that is one way we reduced not just the $1,725 in payment, but going back to my plan to really build a lot of cash flow this year, eliminated thousands of dollars of expenses as well from this property. And at the same time, we still made a lot of money from selling it. So how did things actually turn out? Well, we had a couple hiccups. One, we didn't have to do appraisals on the ones for $150,000, but we did on the other loans. And so the appraisals on refinances can be very frustrating because appraisers tend to come in low. And these were drive-by appraisals that still cost me like $500. It was a lot of money for these appraisals, and they all came in low. And I was pretty conservative on some of my values. And so like I was doing 75% loan to value loans, which means if the property's worth $400,000, you multiply that by 75%, and your loan should be $300,000. Pretty much all these properties are worth close to $400 now, some of them over $400, but the values came in much lower than that. And so on rental number 2, I'm going to keep my calculator. The value came in at $277, which was $11,000 low. This one came in at $268, which was $21,000 low. This one came in at $260, which was just the loan is that much low. The appraisal was like $40,000, $50,000 low, so a lot more than that. And then $246, $24,000 low. So in all, the appraisals came in $73,000 less then, not the appraisals, the loan amounts, sorry, came in $73,000 less than I thought they would be. And on top of that, the bank then told me, oh, we made a mistake. Loan to values aren't 75% right now because of COVID. We're doing 70%, and I forgot to tell you. So after we've done appraisals, gone through all of this, got them all our financials, just done months and months of work, they said, well, you're going to owe now a couple $100,000 at closing instead of getting any money back at all. And so I was pretty frustrated, didn't know if this was going to go through. And so we tried to come up with some ways to figure it out. And something that we realized, or one thing we could fix, was one of the compound houses was commercial, which was a $150,000 loan. And the other one was we were just going to do a $150,000 loan too. But one of those houses is residential by itself. So we could do an appraisal on it and maybe get the loan value up. So we got an appraisal on it. I think it came in at $280,000, and instead of $300,000 loan for the two compound properties, we were able to get $356,000 loan. So all in all, we got $56,000, which came close to matching that number. And so I was still able to get some cash back. And on top of that, the whatever we had, I was selling that Sterling building, which is where it was, and getting there'd be $230,000 in loans I wouldn't have to pay off for that one as well. So all in all, we were able to get all this done and figure out a way to make it work because, remember I said this started in October. Well, in January, the bank decided to change their policy back to 75% loan-to-value loans again, so we could increase all of these loan amounts to what they show right here and not 5% less on all of those. So that was fantastic. Good news. It only took 6 or 7 months to get it done, but we got it done. And all of my properties now have these loans on them that you can see. 3.75% rate for residential. And I think it's just over 4 for commercial. It was actually lower than they quoted me. So both those rates were lower than they initially quoted me because rates went down. We locked them in, got them locked for good. And because I think they may have extended my lock a little bit for free because of all the issues that we had going into this. And got it all done. So I ended up having basically payments, instead of going from $10,782, they went from like $17,000 to, I think it was like $9,500 or so, because the rates went down and we didn't quite refinance as high of a dollar amount as we were before. So it saved me basically $7,000 to $7,500. It cost me some money in appraisals, loan costs, all of that. I had $1.8 million in loans, something like that. It was probably, in the $30,000 to $40,000 range in loan costs, around there. But I got over $200,000 cash back, close to $300,000. It was kind of confusing because I think they gave me a check for over $300,000, but then they're paying off some of this stuff or making up the difference for these two loans out of it. So I didn't have that exact figure yet. The bar is paid off. The cars are paid off. I have a lot less in payments. And not only this, but we're paying down the loans on all of these now too. And I don't have all those expenses from the big warehouse as well, which probably saved me $1,000, maybe more than that a month as well. So overall, this refinance probably saved me $8,000 to $9,000 a month by doing all of this. So kind of crazy. I know it's kind of complicated. Overall, I think it was well worth it. Quite a bit of work. Something I've been working on for a very long time. And now that I got this refinance done and lowered my payments by this much, that helps my DTI an incredible amount. And now I can kind of go and look at some of my other commercial properties and maybe go more the traditional refinance route where we do an appraisal, pull more cash out, lock in a long-term rate there. Even with increasing rates, yes, it will still be worth it. I know I'm not going to get a 4% commercial loan now. It might be 5, it might be 6. Still be worth it to lock that in. Still much lower than my private money loan. And we'll be paying money off and it'll be locked in for the long term. Okay, hopefully that all made sense. I know there's a lot of numbers and different things that went on right there. Quite the process. is worth it. Long-term bank money is fantastic, even though you have to jump through a lot of hoops. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave any questions below. If I missed anything, let me know. If you are thinking of refinancing, remember, appraisals can come in low. There can be hiccups. Rates can increase. Always prepare for the worst. And one way I prepare for the worst with doing these private money loans is I get really good deals on every property I buy. So if I know things don't work out, something happens in the future, I can't get that long-term loan, I can always sell the property if I have to. I got a good enough deal. I have enough equity. I'll be okay. And then I have quite a bit of cash reserves as well for things, repairs, disasters, things that go wrong, or in case I have to pay off a loan for some reason. So those are some things to remember so you don't get yourself into a bind, a disaster, having too much debt on your plate. All right. Thanks for watching. Love to hear what you think. We'll be back with more soon.